Öncelikle hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Bugün Carnegie Mellon Üniversitesi Heinz College'dan David Danenberg bizimle birlikte olacak. Lisansüstü eğitimle ilgili, lisansüstü başvurularla ilgili bilgi veriyor olacak. Ben bugünkü toplantımızı kaydediyorum. Komisyonun YouTube kanalında da paylaşıyor olacağım. Sizden ricam lütfen mikrofonlarınız sunum boyunca kapalı olsun. Sunumun sonunda soru cevap kısmı olacak. Chat üzerinden ya da mikrofonlarınızı açıp el kaldırarak sorularınızı sorabileceksiniz. Öncelikle tekrardan teşekkürler. Akşam bu saatte gelip katıldığınız için. Ben şimdi sözü David'e bırakmak istiyorum. The floor is yours, David.
All right. Well, merhaba. Teşekkür ederim. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you and good to see everybody here online today. I absolutely love joining Birimi and joining the Fulbright office in Education USA. So thank you to you for hosting me and happy International Education Week. Here we are, but we finally made it and we've got a lot of great content for you coming throughout the week. So make sure that you keep in touch with the Fulbright office, with Education USA, and of course with us here at the Carnegie Mellon University's Heinz College for all of the great things that are happening. So today I am here to share with you a little bit of insight into the graduate school search, a peek behind the admissions curtain, if you will. My name is David Danenberg. I'm the Senior Associate Director of Heinz College, which is the School of Information Systems and the School of Public Policy at Carnegie Mellon University. We have a long-standing relationship with both the Turkish government as well as many Turkish students who have studied within our university. So I feel like I am well aware of your education system and ways to be able to guide you as you are applying to graduate school. I myself actually have been to Turkey probably almost 10 times, many different cities, eaten my way through those cities. So I'm looking forward to returning as well. Well, with that being said, I want to dive right into it and talk a little bit about, before we even get into what it takes to apply, is why would you want to study a graduate degree? Why would you want to go to graduate school? And I think there are three main reasons why you would want to consider going for graduate studies. The first would be that you maybe are looking to get that advanced degree in order to make a transition from an unrelated field, right? So you are looking to make a pivot. And graduate studies is the great place to do that because you can take advantage of previously learned skills and apply them into a new field. And that is exactly what graduate studies is all about. Now, sure, you can come from a similar background and continue to grow on that. But if you are finding that there's a new field out there, or, let's use AI, for instance, right? Everybody wants to get into AI. This is the perfect place to do that, is a master's degree. Other people want to go to a master's degree because they need it for their professional experiences, for a career-related requirement. So sometimes you need a professional degree in order to actually be eligible for getting a job. This is maybe in the case of a medical doctor, right? Dentistry, talking about law. There are some careers that require the master's, others that prefer it. And then finally, you get a competitive advantage by getting a master's degree. And so if you are looking for ways to upskill yourself, but also give yourself increased marketability, that is a great reason. One other reason that most people don't even realize, and this is actually based on the statistics from the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics, is that somebody who earns a master's degree will actually earn over $1 million over the duration of their career by having a master's degree. Purely by having that master's degree, you then are eligible for a higher salary, and then those salaries are compounded over the course of your career during your different opportunities and different promotions. So that is another fantastic reason why you may want to apply to graduate studies, is for the cost of living and being able to support you and your families. right? So there are many types of graduate schools that you have to consider as well. Some of you know about MBA, some of you know about Masters of Sciences, Masters of Arts. There are, of course, PhD programs, those professional programs that we're talking about that are specialized, like a JD for law or an MD for being a doctor. So navigating the different types of programs that are out there. Do know that not every master's degree, not every MBA, not every Master's of Science is the same. Some are 1, some are 2 years. They're typically a 2-year degree in the US. Some come with a thesis requirement. Some come with hands-on learning requirements and coursework. And that's actually the way that we typically follow here at the Heinz College. Is we are a professional master's degree program. So it's all about taking what you're learning and applying it, getting your hands dirty, having those real-world experiences. With the PhD program, knowing what the results of a PhD program is really important, right? So somebody who goes for a PhD has really 2 main interests. One, they want to do research, and that's all they want to do. Or they want to go into teaching at the university level and get that really specialized skill so that they can teach others. A PhD is not a quick journey. That's anywhere from 4 to 6 years. It's an apprenticeship style of education. So you'll be taking classes, you're going to be teaching classes, you're going to be researching, and you yourself will also have a thesis that you need to write. So knowing that if you want for a PhD, the type of master's that you choose is also really important, right? If you want a PhD, going to a master's that is thesis-based is better for you than going to a master's that is practical for a PhD. It's not to say you can't do it, but it is really important to know the differences of the types of degrees and ways to set yourself up for the next stage of your education. Then you want to also think about the delivery, right? So some students, they want to get a degree really quick. You want to get a 1-year master's degree. We do offer those here at the Heinz College, but as I said, most are a 2-year degree adventure. Some of the curriculums may be very rigid, right? So some of them are specialized where you're taking classes, say, only in data analytics, whereas others have a lot larger of selection of flexibility with your electives. Then you want to look at the location, right? Do you want to be on campus? Do you want to be taking a part-time online program? Are you looking for a program that offers a hybrid model? That's a little bit difficult as an international student. And then full-time versus part-time. So similarly, do you want to be a full-time on-campus student, which is what you would have to apply for in order to be eligible for a student visa? Or do you want to be part-time where you do an online program, you're still working online, you're able to take classes online, and you could do that with the Heinz College as well. We do have some online part-time programs for those who don't want to leave Turkey. And then finally, the last things that you want to really focus on are the various factors that differentiate the schools, right? So the size of the program, is this a master's degree program where I can actually really get to know the faculty, or am I just another student? How much does it cost? Are there ways that I can fund my education? Are there scholarships? Are there fellowships? Right? Are there professional development opportunities? We send our students out to conferences. We give our students the requirement of having an internship. They're required to do a project with a client. We call it a capstone. When you're looking at schools, you also want to ask yourself, do I see myself there? Do I see myself in the students that are at that university now? So making sure that the university has a diverse student body. At the Heinz College, we bring in, last year we had 36 countries represented throughout our student body. And so it's a very diverse setting. And then finally, in addition, we also have the location of the university that you have to consider. Are you somebody who enjoys being in a more rural setting? Are you somebody who, is all about that big city life? So knowing the different styles of the universities and the lifestyle that you'll have and the cost of living in those cities based on the location of the university. So these are all really important factors to think about when you are considering graduate studies. That is what we encourage you to think about in the pre-planning stage of a graduate school search. My number one recommendation for you is to take notes, right? Create an Excel file where you can track information about every school that you are looking at. For everything from the deadline dates that they require to the various types of degrees they offer, the delivery method, the factors, right? it becomes a almost like a full-time job when you're searching for graduate studies. And so you do need to put the time aside for the search, and you also need to make sure that you are taking care to not overlap the information that you're learning from the various schools. And then the last thing that I'll share with you is when you are making these searches and starting to figure out what's best for you is do not be afraid to ask questions, right? We are the Office of Admissions, not the Office of Rejections. And our goal, some people call us admissions officers. I hate that title, right? I'm an admissions advisor. I want to advise you on what's the best program for you to apply to. I want to advise you on what's the right timeline, all of that really important information. So please do be in touch with our offices, because the more that you are speaking with the Office of Admissions, the easier it will be for you to be able to put your application together and know which program is the right fit for you. So with that being said, we're going to get into, once you've figured out which university you want to apply to, is what do you need in order to apply? And what I'm going to share with you here, we're going to take a deep dive into this, into these icons in just a moment, is the general types of application requirements for a graduate study application. One of the things that before you even start your application that you may want to be aware of is that universities in the United States often charge an application fee. Sometimes they're a minimal $15, $20 fee. Sometimes they're really expensive, over 100 US dollars. At Heinz College, Carnegie Mellon University's Heinz College, we're extremely proud to never have charged an application fee. It is free for everyone to apply. We want to make education accessible to all. So you do just want to check the websites, ask the various admissions officers about the application fees. It is possible sometimes to get a fee waiver. Even if you got a fee waiver, that does not mean that your application will be reviewed in a different manner. Oftentimes, financial viability of getting into a university or applying to a university is completely separate from the application review. Speaking of application review, every one of the icons that you see here on the screen leads us to run what we call a holistic application review process. If you've never heard of that before, those are the types of universities that you should hopefully be applying to. A holistic application review process means that there's not one thing on the screen here that we use that outweighs the other, right? We're not only going to just look at your transcripts and say, oh, they got a B in that class, we're not admitting them anymore. That's not the case, right? So knowing that everything here that we ask for helps tell a story of who you are as an individual, as a student, really paints a picture for us as a well-rounded individual. We're going to take a deep dive into these icons, but if you do want to take a look specific to the CMU Heinz College application requirements, you can. Why I give you that link is because it's really important to know that Heinz College application requirements are different from, say, the Tepper School of Business at the same university, or to another university entirely. So everybody's graduate study requirements may vary slightly. Some of those may vary within the essays, and we'll get into that. Some may vary on the numbers of recommendations. Some might have an in-person interview. Everybody's application is somewhat different. So the first part that we'll talk about are transcripts. Most universities in the US are going to require that you submit an official transcript for the application. Now, some universities may say, I want the transcript at the very beginning when you apply, before we review your application. Some may say, we're happy to accept an online photocopy, but later down the road, we are going to still need that official transcript. Now, as an international student, it's a little bit difficult for us to always be able to make a determination on your admission decision using the Turkish education grading system. So most universities in the United States require an evaluation, which is a conversion of the grades from the Turkish grading system to the US GPA 4.0 grading system. This is actually really important because it creates a fair and equal application review process. That means that a student from India or a student from Turkey, a student from the US, wherever they are coming from around the world, can all be equally reviewed on the exact same scale, fairly and equally. So there is a process for doing the evaluation, and that process there are two ways. One is through an internal evaluation. So some universities, they have the bandwidth to be able to have you send their official transcript directly from the university. In that admissions office, they'll do the review, and then they'll convert the grades on your behalf. Other universities, and it usually depends on the size of the university, the numbers of applicants, don't have that bandwidth. And so they ask that you use a third-party evaluation company to do that evaluation. The most common evaluation companies tend to be WES, W-E-S. Another one is called ECE. It stands for Evaluation Credential Evaluators, or something along that line. And then Education Credential Evaluators. And then the other one is SpanTran. Those tend to be the three most popular, but each university who makes that requirement will have the specific companies that you can use listed on their website. So do make sure that you check their websites and ask which evaluation company you should use. Note that this does have a charge, but again, every university is going to require this at some point, whether it means prior to admission or prior to enrollment or after admission before you start the degree program. So I always recommend do it at the very beginning. That way you also know exactly what your GPA is so that you know which kind of universities you should be applying to, that you're not just like using a free web service online to give you a guess on what your GPA would be. Now, if you're already graduated from university, I say go through this process immediately. Start it now, right? There's no deadline for when this process, sorry, not deadline. There's no expiration date for when these evaluations are created. Your grades are your grades. They're not going to change. So you can get the evaluation now, and then you are prepared and ready to go to apply to these universities. But, you know, if you're still in school, maybe you're in your final year, we would say wait to try and at least get your first 3 years and the most up-to-date grades that you have available. So even maybe the seventh semester grades, and then get that evaluation and send the transcripts in. That way we have the most information available to make an informed decision. If you have attended multiple universities, we want you to go through this process with each of the universities. In particular, if your grades from another university are not showing on your current university's transcript. If you did a study abroad, usually you can just send an unofficial transcript, but the admission committee might say, hey, you took a statistics class while you studied abroad, and we really want to see the grade for that. And then they'll just reach out to you and say, hey, can I see that official transcript? So again, I'll say this now, and I'll keep saying it. Talk to the admissions office. We are here to help you through that process and work through what exactly it is that we need and what we don't need. Recommenders, right? So most universities require a minimum of 2 letters of recommendation, and we will typically, at least for the Heinz College, we allow up to 3. Who do we want to have you write a letter of recommendation for you? Well, we really want to make sure that the recommender knows you. It is not so much about their title or even the field that they are in. It is about what they can share with us about you as an individual, somebody who has been in the work setting, somebody who has been in the academic setting, right? This is the information that we're really trying to get at is who are you? And I find that a really good recommender is somebody who will tell me things about you that you don't even share in your own essay. So think about it where, you know, if you say, oh, I'm going to get the president of my company to write a letter of recommendation. Do they really know you as well as your just direct manager? And if the answer is no, then probably your direct manager is the better person to have you write that letter of recommendation. Now, because you are applying for graduate studies, you may want to be considering having both academic and professional letters of recommendation. Now, I know some of you might be out of school and you don't have that relationship with a professor anymore, and that's perfectly fine. If you've been out of school, I'll say 3 or more years, don't worry about getting an academic recommendation. We want to hear from your direct supervisors in the work that you've been doing. But if you are still in school or maybe just recently out of school, it'd be good to see both an academic and a professional letter of recommendation. But but that isn't required, right? Unless the university specifically says that's required. And also knowing the types of programs that you're applying to, right? If you're applying to a PhD program, you're going to make sure that you have your thesis from your master's degree, the professor who advised you through that thesis, write that letter of recommendation for you. If you're applying for a medical degree, right? If you've done any internships or any work in a hospital field, you want to make sure that they're coming from those specific backgrounds. So there are some caveats to think about. Only submit what is asked of you. So if there is a minimum of 3 that you can submit, do not try and submit 4 or upload it somewhere else. It will not be reviewed. It will not be considered. It is not going to create a fair and equal application review process then for any of the other applicants. Most universities are now using an online system to be able to collect those letters of recommendation. So in our particular instance, what you'll do is when creating your online application, give us the names of your recommenders, their contact information, and then when you hit save on that application, it will automatically send off a request to that recommender to upload a letter. Some universities may require that the letter be on official university or company paper. Oftentimes that's not required, especially if they are submitting that letter of recommendation through their professional email address. But again, ask the admissions office what their preference is. Sometimes these days, they may still allow you to mail in a letter of recommendation, but that becomes a little less secure. Anybody could mail a letter of recommendation in, so typically the digital sending of it is now preferred. Resume or CV, right? So really, for our purposes, there is no difference. We don't have a preference on a resume versus CV for a graduate study application, and that's the same across most graduate studies. What we are trying to do is, again, get to know you. Some of you have probably been told you need a 1-page resume. And I'm here to say that that's not necessarily the case for graduate studies. It is perfectly fine to have a 2-page, maybe I'll even go to a 3-page resume, depending on your background. Certainly, if you're applying for PhD, that's going to be a very long list, especially if you have publications. So know that 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it may take in order to list all your publications is okay. But your resume is your one chance to quickly get in front of the admission committee everything that you've done. And we are trying to really get a lot of important information out of it. What is your work experience, right? Have you done internships? Have you done full-time work? What is the duration of that work? We're also trying to understand your background. If you're applying to a technical program like our information systems, that program requires programming. So we want to know what programming languages do you know? Have you programmed in Java, C++, SQL, database, right? We want to know your technical background, not just Microsoft and I know how to text and I know how to do PowerPoint. We're talking about the real technology here. If you're going to a cybersecurity program, for example, have you had any security clearances in the past, right? So you don't have to list the clearances, you probably aren't allowed, but like, have you had that before? Thinking about the things that you can share with an admissions committee that are going to help strengthen your application and share more information. The last thing that I'll say is, a lot of our degree programs and oftentimes graduate degree programs are management degrees, right? They are here to help you get to that next stage within your career. And the really important thing is that we are trying to understand your management and leadership skills. In order to be a good manager, you have to be a good leader. And so we're looking at what are you doing in that leadership space? Have you been involved in any committees in your job? Have you been involved in any extracurricular organizations at university? Are you doing anything in the community? So all of that is really important, and I wouldn't leave any of it off. And then lastly, we also want to make sure you're human. University is stressful in the US sometimes. It's a lot of work. And we want to know, do you have outlets to be able to handle that stress? Are you a runner? Tell us, do you do marathons? Do you like to work out? Do you dance? Those things that help to humanize you. So we want to hear about all of that as well. These are the things that the admission committee is looking for to help supplement your more traditional essay, which is, a little bit more formal. Now, the one thing that I'll say about essays is every university has a little bit of a different requirement for essays. And that is, again, where you want to find out exactly what they're looking for. Some universities give very, very specific prompts, sometimes even specific to the degree program itself, whereas others are just looking more for a personal statement. At the Heinz College, we typically follow a personal statement method where we give you a very high-level prompt, but essentially what we're looking for is, who are you? What are you interested in? What do you see yourself doing in 5, 10, 15 years from now, and how can we help you get there, right? Why our university? Why right now? The who, what, when, where, whys, and hows of an application. How long should this be? Well, each university will give their own requirement, but typically ours is about 1,000 words. We tend to not be very stringent, so if you go 1,008 words, it's not going to be a problem. We're not counting, but some universities very well may count. So you do want to make sure you know what the requirements are. And this is your chance to really sell it. My number one recommendation with essays is to have, and I'll share this again in a moment, is have very clear and defined goals. Graduate studies is a deep dive into a subject area where you can then become a subject matter expert, and you can really leave that degree program saying, I know exactly what I'm doing in this particular field. And so by taking, a degree program where you can say, I want this particular goal, this is exactly what I want to do when I graduate, and your university is going to be able to help me do it because you have the following classes, because you have this professor who teaches this class, because you give me this opportunity for the internship. All of that is the kind of stuff that we're looking for. If you put an essay out there that is a little bit more lofty and say, oh, I want to be a product manager, and I'd love to do sales, and I'd love to do X, Y, or Z, and maybe I'd even be interested in entertainment at one point. Like, we're going to go, this person has no clue what they want to do. This is not the right fit for them. So clear and defined goals, really knowing the program, and the best way that you can write your essay is by joining information sessions like these directly with the universities, by talking with the admissions offices, by talking with current students at those universities, really getting to know what the outcomes of those degree programs are. Everybody wants to know about AI, at least at Carnegie Mellon University, and I find that this is often the case with most universities, that they have a pretty strict do not use AI policy when writing your essay. Very much so. Again, this is a graduate study professional degree program. We don't want to know what AI or ChatGPT thinks your goals are. We want to know what your goals are. We also want to know that you have those professional writing skills, that you know how to be able to really express your communication in a thoughtful way. So please try not to use AI. And I will say many universities, including ours, do have a number of tools to be able to detect AI, as well as to detect plagiarism. So don't try and pull somebody else's essay from the internet, because that will give you an automatic rejection to most universities. Right. So moving on here, we want to talk a little bit about the TOEFL and the IELTS requirements. And also very popular these days is now Duolingo, which we also do offer. And this is a English language proficiency exam, right? University in the United States is fast-paced. If you think I talk fast, wait till you hear some of our professors. It is really an important aspect for you to make sure that you have the full ability to understand what is being said in the classroom and to participate in the discussions in the classroom. The US education system is extremely focused on class participation and making sure that the students are vocal in being able to communicate their thoughts. Oftentimes, our students come from various different backgrounds, years of work experience, and the ideas and the discussions that happen in class really create these incredible learning opportunities. So by having strong English proficiency, you will not only help yourself in gaining admission, but also in the student experience itself. We do offer students to take TOEFL, IELTS, and the Duo language exam. Fun fact, Duolingo is a a product of Carnegie Mellon University. The creator of Duolingo graduated from Carnegie Mellon University and started that actually as a student project. The university then helped fund that particular project, and their headquarters are located just around the corner from campus. So many students have actually gone on to work for Duolingo or done internships there, which is very exciting. One of the exciting things that I like to share about our English language proficiency exams is that we do offer a My Best score opportunity, which means that if you have taken the exams multiple times, which if you haven't taken it once before and you haven't been happy with your scores, I encourage you to take it again. But we will give you the highest section earned on each of the individual sections. So if maybe the first time you take TOEFL, you scored a 25 on speaking, but the next time you got a 23, we're going to honor that 25 from the very first attempt to try and give you the best score possible for when you had taken those exams. What else here? Are there other ways that I can show my English skills? The answer is most often yes. We offer a video interview opportunity. Some universities require an in-person or virtual one-on-one interview. So there are ways that you can help show your English proficiency skills. This often is a requirement for university, and it is also a requirement in order to be eligible to have a visa issued as well. So please make sure that you take care and know that you have at least met the minimum requirements for the English language proficiency exams. And the final exam that we will talk about is the GRE and the GMAT. And so a lot of people say, well, what's that? I hope you are familiar with this, but if not, Birimi and her entire team at Fulbright and at Education USA will certainly help educate you further on that. But this is essentially an exam similar to the SAT, if you've heard of that, that helps to inform graduate universities on your ability for success in the graduate degree program. They are not easy exams. They are not fair exams. They are not easy to even study for. But they are focused on a verbal section, verbal reasoning. They focus on quantitative skills, maths, and then there's also a writing section. Now, a lot of universities went GRE and GMAT optional during COVID. During COVID, in particular, the exams were not easy to access, and they did not have an online format at the time. So a lot of universities said, you know what, we're going to waive this requirement. And we did waive it at Carnegie Mellon ourselves as well, or we made it optional for those who couldn't access the exam. But in typical Carnegie Mellon University fashion, we like to use the data to help inform our decisions. And what we found was that the students who waived the GRE or were admitted without the GRE, they did struggle a bit in our graduate study programs. And so we have now reenacted the GRE GMAT policy back, but with other waiver opportunities. Waivers such as, you know, if you've taken statistics and calculus during your undergraduate degree based on those grades, or maybe if you're currently working, you might be working in a quantitative setting, and we could use that as our background to be able to waive the GRE and GMAT. So every university does have a bit of a different policy, but know that the GRE and GMAT is not there to be difficult. It's not there to be mean. It is truly there to help make the admissions committee feel confident that you are going to be a successful student in their program. They know the grades that the students who had previously been admitted earned, and they kind of understand what scores on these exams a student who earns X score will be successful versus those who don't. We do have on our website, and you'll find it on most university websites, a kind of a cost profile where they will share GRE's average scores, where they will share GPA average information, so you can use that. The last thing that I will say on the GRE and GMAT, at least for the Heinz College purposes, and I would assume most other universities, is that if they offer a merit-based scholarship, that we use that GRE score to help determine part of that merit-based scholarship. So it's not just about GPA, but about the GRE as well. If you're finding that you're scoring in that upper 75th percentile of the exam, that certainly shows us that you have some very strong academic skills, and you might be eligible for an additional scholarship bump. Whereas those who waive the GRE or GMAT, we don't know what score you got. So we just assume an average score, and therefore you get the average scholarship. So just keep that in mind, that the GRE, GMAT, if you find that you can take it or want to take it, or even just to take it to see what your scores are, it could certainly benefit you in your application and in your scholarshiping. All right, so that is our application review process. The last few slides here that I want to share is how you can prepare a successful application, not about all of the things that you need, but just a few other pointers, right? So we are constantly looking for a demonstrated commitment to leadership. These are professional master's degree programs, and they are, the students who we are admitting, we want to make sure that you will be a good ambassador for our university, not while you're just there, but when you graduate as well. And so we're looking into everything to try and understand your leadership skills, those management skills. We talked earlier, having those clear and defined goals for why you want to study there. I think it's also really important to know that while we want you to have clear and defined goals at the application stage, we also know that university is a place where you learn new things, and it is perfectly fine for you to change those goals while you are at the university. But at least at the onset of the degree program, we want to know why you really want to study with us right here and now. Relevant experience or education, right? So some degree programs require a specific background, others don't. But even if it does not, we are looking for, okay, do you have skills that we can then take and apply them to your new degree program? Certainly, if you take the GRE and GMAT, if you take the TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo, the higher your scores, the more competitive you'll be as an applicant. And finally, just an overall demonstrated potential for academic success. It's really important to know, again, holistic application review process. Everything that we request, we are using to make an informed decision and telling a story of who you are as an individual, as a student, really trying to understand all pieces of your application. That said, there are ways that you can improve the odds. So if you are thinking now about the GRE or the GMAT, don't just take it. Study for it, prepare for it. There are a ton of books out there to help you prepare. I know Education USA has services to help you prepare. If you're still in school, you still have a chance to keep your grades up. If you graduated, obviously, you can't impact your grades, but that's where you maybe want to consider taking the GRE and GMAT to help offset some lower grades. Maybe you want to do an independent study, project, a researchship, internship. The hands-on learning is something that we really value, and we want to make sure that you have those skills to show us. For those who are not sure who you want to have write your letter of recommendation, start talking to your supervisors, talk to your faculty, let them know who you are, participate in those office hours so that they can truly write a strong letter of recommendation for you. Again, take those jobs and internships that match your aspirations so that we can see your experience. Explain anomalies. So this is a really cool one. Not every university does offer this, so you should ask if they do. But at Carnegie Mellon's Heinz College, we do offer an optional essay, and it's there for extra information. So if maybe there's one class that you scored really poorly in, or maybe you have a gap in your resume and there's a reason behind it. So possibly maybe you were taking care of a sick family member and that impacted your grades. We want to know that because we can't see that otherwise. And we'll just assume you were being lazy in class. So tell us those anomalies. Tell us those things that we may not necessarily understand about your application. And then finally, always, always, always apply by the deadline. If you want to be considered for full scholarship opportunities, full admission, pay attention to the deadlines. Each university does have different deadlines. Some have multiple deadlines. We have a priority deadline and a final deadline. So keep that in mind. Again, those Excel files are really important to keep track of each university and the differences between them. So that is all about how to apply to university. I'll transition here for just a few minutes into funding your education, because I think this is also important to think about when you are applying to university. So a lot of universities do offer a merit-based scholarship. Some require a separate application, others do not. In our application, we do not require a separate application. We just purely have a question in our admission application that says, do you want to be considered for merit-based scholarship? As long as you say yes to that question, you're automatically considered. And we use everything that we use for our admission decision in our scholarship decision. Again, that holistic application review process, looking at all pieces of your application to help make a decision on where you fall on that merit-based scholarship or fellowship opportunity. Keep in mind, some universities, in addition to having a merit-based scholarship, may also have partner scholarships. Ours are called strategic partner scholarships. And the one that I want to highlight here today is our partnership with Fulbright. For students who apply through Fulbright or receive a Fulbright award, you are automatically awarded a guaranteed 50% scholarship to the Heinz College. And so between the funding from Heinz College and through Fulbright, this would certainly help close the gap on your costs of education. There are many other scholarship opportunities we have. If you happen to be working for the Turkish Ministry of Development, we do have a relationship with them as well for funding programs. So again, lots of experience with Turkish students, and we encourage you to apply. But this list is specific to Heinz College. I encourage you, again, to go onto each university's webpage or talk to the admissions offices to learn about what kind of partnerships that they have. And when it comes to funding, don't forget to ask those admissions offices if you can work on campus. Regardless of university, every university student who's an international student is eligible on their student visa to work up to 20 hours per week. But the cost of pay for a student job is different at each university. So for us, we're very proud to say that we pay $17 per hour. That's impressive. That's for on-campus work, working in my office, working in the Office of Career Services, in the library as a TA or RA. There are opportunities also that are $17 an hour. And then our students are required to also participate in an internship, and oftentimes those internships are paid. So many ways to fund your education. Don't forget to utilize the resources, right? Chat with a current student, ask them about their experience. I get paid to tell you how great it is at our university, but the students are the ones living through it. So please make sure that you chat with a current student, speak with an ambassador, come to the university's open houses, have a Zoom call one-on-one with the admissions office. There are more resources now than ever before. Once COVID happened, everybody switched into this Zoom advising model. We find that most of our appointments are online now these days, even with students who are physically in Pittsburgh. So take advantage of what is now available to you, because it is a great resource that did not previously exist. That is my presentation when it comes to applying to graduate studies. I did want to give you a very quick overview on the Heinz College so that you know the perspective that I'm coming from. And then we'll leave the last few minutes here for some questions and answer session. So very much, Heinz College is a unique place. We are a School of Public Policy and a School of Information Systems under the same roof. We are a center of academic excellence at that intersection of technology and society, and our faculty really focus on those societal scale challenges that require expertise in policy, technology, and management. We focus on topics that involve people, their behaviors, public policy, analytics, technology, and those applications that can then be seen in the societal domains, right? So IT-enabled technology and policy implementation, urban systems transportation, healthcare, information security and privacy, even the arts, and many, many more. So it's a really cool and unique space. Every degree program has the exact same academic foundation, which is also unique. So whether you are an art student, a policy student, a technology student, cybersecurity, every student has the same core focusing on that policy, technology, and management. You get those soft skills, you get the management skills, you get the technology skills, the leadership skills, and then you apply it to your particular field of interest. And so every student takes industry writing specific courses, presentation. One of my favorites is also negotiation. Organizational design, right? How do you organize all of the information that you're collecting and then implement it? And then finally, we require every student to complete an internship and a capstone project, a project with a client with a real world scenario, not just something made up. So when you do those final presentations, you're not just presenting to your professors, but also to leaders of that organization. Within our School of Public Policy and Management, you'll find that our students are going into 4 main buckets. They're going into government roles, nonprofit, foundation, grassroots. Some are going into the research and think tank space, and others are going into the consulting space. So it's a very flexible degree program, giving you a chance across the spectrum of policy. We also do offer a traditional track that's 2 years in Pittsburgh, a track that has 1 year in Pittsburgh, 1 year in Washington, D.C., and even a track that is data analytics focused, AI machine learning focused. So that is our public policy data analytics track. In the School of Information Systems and Management, most of our students go into these 4 buckets, either into big tech, into the private sector and private consulting, into the banking and finance space, and then finally also into the public sector or public consulting space. These programs that we offer include a Master's of Information Systems and Management, which is kind of the combination between a MBA and a computer science degree in one, looking at how do you use technology to make better business decisions. We have a traditional track, and we have a business intelligence data analytics track, a deep dive into the analytics behind those technology systems, making informed decisions. Those programs both offer a 16-month track, which is 3 semesters, as well as a 1-year track. So for those of you who have 3 or more years of full-time work experience, you could do those degrees as a 1-year master's degree program. Also in the School of Information Systems, we have our Masters of Science in Information Security Policy and Management. That is a cybersecurity degree, to bring it down to a shorter name. And finally, we also are extremely excited because this is brand new, starting in the fall of 2025. We have a Masters of Science in AI Systems Management, Artificial Intelligence Systems Management. It is the operationalization of AI, not the programming behind it. We also have a Master's of Science in Healthcare Administration and Analytics degree. So that is focusing on students in the outcome of healthcare organizations directly with hospitals. Some go into the consulting space, and others go into, again, big tech. You may have noticed that we have 2 arts programs. One is a Master's of Arts Management, which focuses on the nonprofit arts side. So things like museums, orchestras, theaters, dance companies, festivals. And you're working in a space of general management, marketing, fundraising, development, artistic programming, community education, and engagement. Our students go on to work for some of the biggest arts organizations in the world. And then on the other side of the arts, I like to call it for-profit arts, so Hollywood. And this is students who want to work for the film, television, gaming, or music industry. This particular program is unique because they study their first year in Pittsburgh and move to LA, Los Angeles, in the second year of the program, working on an apprenticeship full-time, 36 hours a week for a film studio, television studio, arts organization, and they are focusing on development, acquisition, distribution, talent representation, publishing, and more. So some really cool and diverse programs at Heinz College. The nice thing about Heinz College, the thing I think that is the coolest, is that you get to learn from people who are different from you. And when you learn in a setting like that, the conversations, the learning, it is enhanced, and it really provides our students some great success. So I encourage you to learn more about Heinz College. If you scan this QR code, you'll be able to add your name to our mailing list to learn about our scholarship opportunities, our application deadlines, ways that you can connect with Turkish students, and far more. So please feel free to engage with us. I have my contact information here on the screen. Please feel free to take a screenshot of that. I always welcome questions, whether it be about Heinz College, about just graduate studies in general. I closely work with Education USA, Fulbright, and Yardım. So here to help where I can. So thank you so much for the time, and we have about 10 minutes remaining to answer any questions.
Thank you, David. I think it will helped them a lot. I mean, every time that I listen to your presentation about like graduate admission in the Heinz College, it helps me a lot to learn new things. So thank you. I would like to thank you first for your time and the presentation. And I think we have a couple of questions in the comment section.
Certainly.
It's a long one. Maybe you want to like see it.
Sure. Let me see here. Do I have access to it? Is it in the chat or the Q&A?
It's in the chat.
Okay. All right. I'll read it out loud so everybody can hear. I'm 41, I've worked at Deloitte, Riot Games, spent over 10 years in China as an entrepreneur and senior lecturer. Recently scored 112 on the TOEFL, and I was wondering if somebody around my age would be eligible for a master's program, or would it be better to apply for a PhD program? Are there age restrictions when it comes to scholarship opportunities? This is a great question. It is illegal for us to discriminate based on age. That is a U.S. Law. So I encourage anybody, regardless of the age, to apply to a graduate degree program. Now, there may be tracks that are better fit for you than others. So for instance, you certainly have more than 3 years of work experience. I would encourage you to then apply for one of those one-year degree track programs. As a matter of fact, even our public policy program has a 3-semester track for those with 3 years of work experience. So knowing which track program is best for you to apply to, and making sure that you really sell it to the university. Why now is the right time? The other thing that you sometimes want to consider, though, is, do I really need the master's, or would it be better for me to just get a certificate program, certificate, or go for a part-time master's where I can continue to work? So really having that conversation with the admissions office to guide you through their programs and which one is best. But if you are thinking of a master's, again, reminder, the PhD is a very different type of degree, and the outcomes, really, there are only two. That's if you want to do research or teach at a university setting. If that is not what you're looking to do, then certainly the master's is the better option for you. And even at Heinz College, we offer certificate programs, so you can also look at those as well. And same goes to scholarships, right? There's no restriction to scholarships, regardless of age. Other questions?
Do you have other questions? Başka sorunuz var mı? Chat'ten de yazabilirsiniz. Mikrofonunuzu da açabilirsiniz.
You can ask in Turkish too, and Irene can.
Yes. İsterseniz Türkçe de sorabilirsiniz. Ben çevirebilirim. Evet. One more.
All right, let's see here. Thanks for a great session. You are welcome. I wonder whether you have Masters of Arts programs in the field of linguistics or English language teaching. I'm a senior student at a well-known university in the Department of English Language. So I'll speak for Carnegie Mellon in particular, and this is often the case in most universities, but graduate studies is very decentralized at universities. And what that means is that each college manages its own admissions process and its own degree program. So I represent, sure, I work at Carnegie Mellon University, but I work within the Heinz College, which is only the programs that I had shared with you earlier, which are the School of Information Systems, the School of Public Policy, and those few joint arts programs. The university has 6 other colleges that have a ton of other master's degree programs. So you really want to take a look at the individual colleges within the university, or sometimes we use the word colleges, which you use as faculties. So know that there are differences there in terms of the title. When we say faculty, we mean professor. So also knowing that it is just sometimes that gets lost in translation. But yes, there are some programs that might be a good fit for you within the linguistics program. I know there's a particular writing master's program, like a professional master's in writing at Carnegie Mellon, but because of how decentralized the university is, I only know the programs at Heinz College. They don't want me talking about any of the other programs because I wouldn't do them justice.
I just checked it, and I think in humanities and social sciences college, you have some programs for linguistics. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Anything about applying to graduate school? timelines. All
Başka
right.
sorusu olan var mı?
Health insurance? Sure. So this is something that you don't focus on until after, obviously, you've been admitted. Most universities in the US will require you to have health insurance when you are enrolling in the university. Every university has their own health insurance program that they run out of their own internal health office. So there's like a student of health services office that is essentially like its own doctor's office. They have nurses and doctors available, and the university runs with an insurance company, a student health insurance program. You're required to usually purchase that program unless you can show proof that your current insurance program is equal or better than the university's. So it just depends on the university and what their individual process looks like on whether you have to get the university health insurance or use your own. But yes, the US health insurance system in general is very confusing. I know during our orientation, we provide a number of resources to help you to even understand the language, but you'll never know all of it. And I will even say that most US citizens don't even know our own health system well enough to be able to fully grasp it. So when you arrive and you feel like you're confused, don't worry, so are we. Let's see here. I'm a disaster management student. I have field experience in crisis response for a master's. Is there only public management that I could apply for, or are there other programs related to my field? So it really depends on what you want to do with your degree. Public management is a great program. It actually is the one that has been the most popular for Turkish students for a number of years. So I encourage you to explore that program, but you certainly could also consider the Master's in Masters of Science in Public Policy and Management, which is its sister program. That particular program will take a little bit of a deeper dive into the policy side, but you can certainly focus all of your electives on the management side. What steps should I take for somebody with what steps should someone with a master's in economics take to improve their chances of being accepted into a quantitative program, such as a computer science master's program, possibly a bridge program? So certainly having programming skills. I think any computer science program will require that you have vast programming skills, Java, C++, to be two of the most important, Python. When I say having skills, I don't mean just teaching yourself or going even on Coursera or Udemy. I mean taking a class through a university, getting a grade, showing that you have a strong grade. So making sure really that you have those skills in place, because that's a lot of what you're going to be learning on the job. And at a master's level program in computer science, they're going to assume you have previous knowledge, and they're not going to teach you the foundational information. They're going to build on top of that. So for our particular program, though, our Masters of Information System, it's that combination of a computer science and an MBA. So we only require basic knowledge of programming, and we even offer conditional admission to students. So if you don't have a ton of programming experience, you could get admitted as long as you take a programming class in the summer, show us that you have strong skills within that programming, and then you could enroll in the master's coming in the fall. So that's also an option that some universities provide as a conditional admission. Dietrich, great. Yes, that's exactly the department that the program is located in. Yeah, we have we're recording this, so I'm not sure where you're going to post it though.
So I can send a link to the participants, because since you already registered, I have the email addresses, and also probably I will just post it in our YouTube channel. Zaten kayıtlı olduğunuz için mail adresleriniz var bu toplantıda. Ben toplantıdan sonra kayıt linkini mail adreslerinizle paylaşıyor olacağım. Aynı zamanda bu kaydı YouTube kanalımızda da paylaşıyor olacağım.
And then I just provided with you a link to an information form. So if you do want to learn more about the programs at Heinz College, you can click that link and see the master's degree programs that we specifically offer within our college. Again, if you're interested in a different department like Dietrich, for instance, it will not be covered here. So you'll only see what's available at the Heinz College.
I think we don't have any other questions.
All right. Well, it's
Yeah.
been wonderful spending the evening with you. Thanks again for hosting me. Thank you to everybody who joined us. I wish you lots of luck, and I look forward to hearing from you.
So thank you again, David, and have a good day for you, I guess.
Absolutely. Thank you.